Hello everyone. We at SCMHRD are extremely delighted to have with us our guest Mr. Arnendu Bose as part of our interview series through the corporate lens. Mr. Arnendu is our alumnus from the batch of 2004. He has had a stellar corporate career and worked in multiple organizations like DHL, Kansai Nerolac Paints, Cade Energy and Accenture. He is presently the managing director at Accenture. With over 15 plus years of global management consulting and industry experience, Mr. Arnendu is a personality much to learn from. For this session, we are joined by esteemed director, Dr. Pratima Sheorey. Now we request Pratima ma'am to please take over and we look forward to an enriching conversation.
So Arnendu, very welcome to SCMHRD. And I'm so glad that in these times we are able to connect with you because the last time we met was when we were in the same place geographically. And today I'm so glad that these life and times have ensured that we don't have to be together physically to be exchanging ideas and to be having a conversation. So I have a couple of questions for you, of course, unless you have something that you would like to kick off, to sort of set the tone, and then I'll follow it up with some questions for you, or I can begin with the questions right away, whatever you prefer. What's the format you would like?
No, I think, ma'am, you can start off with the questions and maybe I can end up yeah, end with
ever the student, Arnendu.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to understand from you right up front, okay, when you look at your journey from so you were the first batch that walked into the new campus, now of course our campus, at SCMHRD, and I wanted to understand from you your journey from there to the managing director today, okay? And what do you think have been the key reasons that you got here? Who would you attribute all of this to? And what do you think you learned about, or what are the areas that you want everybody to be aware of? Or in short, what are the mistakes you made and you learned from?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Happy to answer that. And thanks for, first of all, thanks for getting me into this discussion as well. Absolutely always privileged to be part of this great alumni of this great institution. Now, I'll just reflect back in the last, I would say, 15 years now, or 16 years now, passing out of
16 years, 16 years.
16 years, 2004, passing out of SCMHRD. And there's a lot of learnings that I received here at SCMHRD. I think that made me a professional, made me an individual who can then get into the market, get into the industry, first and foremost. A quick background, I did my engineering, passed out in 2001. I did a 1-year stint with Toyota and then came here and at that point in time, SCMHRD gave me all the tools that is needed to be successful in the professional world, I would say, in the initial years to get into it. And it gave me all the, I would say, knowledge. It gave me all the business acumen to build upon. And it also gave me exactly to look into all the guest lectures and attending those guest lectures and interacting with them. They gave me lot of confidence of how to basically get into the industry. And moreover, the exposure that we used to get. So we used to have NEEV and the cultural fest, and we used to have our technical, I would say, fest. And I remember in the second year, I was part of the technical fest. I was actually the secretary for that. For 1 month, I was just organizing and planning. And I would say that along with the classes, etc., gave me an immense exposure up to how to manage big stuff. Getting into the industry, and as you say, and I think you mentioned the company's first few years, obviously I went with DHL Excel. That was the campus from which, from the campus placement. I stayed a little bit more than a year. Then moved to Nerolac Paints, where I spent 2.5 years, and then joined Accenture. and 2007. And I think in these formative years, one thing that helped me is like focus on and build upon a capability or few capability areas. So build upon supply chain and operations, moved into Nerolac in the supply chain function, and then joined Accenture in the supply chain capability as well in that. And then build upon that whole work across the whole different areas in supply chain, operations, commercial, etc. So one thing that helped me is that I was able to build my skill base, which we call it in consulting a T-shaped, and we need to also all be T-shaped when you're doing consulting, business consulting, that you need to be deep in 1 or 2 areas or more, maximum 2 to 3 areas max. Else, and that is where anywhere in the world, if there is a problem and they are stuck up with, in few years they should be able to know that you exist in the organization and there's a client problem, potentially you are the right guy to solve. So that helps to build that T personality, that and then you need to also have a horizontal, that you should know, aware of what's happening across the industry. Not only industry, you should know what your firm does. Like Accenture, 500,000 people. We do consulting, we do outsourcing, we do technology, we do, I would say, security. We do n number of product lines we have, etc. What I'm saying is that we should be aware of that how the organization construct is, and also we need to have the right connects in every part of the capability, at least the few capability, multiple capabilities. And at times for example, for me, I'm able to draw the right talent within the firm when in my client situation, I need a help from somebody who's an expert in, say, procurement, technology, digital. Just giving an example, I can lean upon that. Or customer experience, I can lean upon the right expert and bring them in to my client, along with the area which I drive. So that helps me, that at a T-shaped personality. And over the years, I've tried to build upon that. I think that has been one of my key areas. Second is client centricity. Whatever we do, whether it's consulting, non-consulting, we need to be absolutely client centric. We should always look outward rather than organization or inward. It will pay off, but we need to solve our client problems. And the two last thing I would say, one is empathy. I think that's what I have learned even from SCMHRD as well, was walking out of it, that we need to really work for not only for us as an individual. First is the organization, second is and it's not a jargon, second is your team, and then for yourself, because I'm as good as my team and I need to be absolutely empathetic on the team, help work with them and help them successful. And something which I absolutely, that is what my mentor says, and I absolutely take it very seriously, and I also ask my team, is that your team, I keep asking and I keep telling them that, you know what, my team is better than you. But what I say is that my team, for example, should be smarter than me. If I'm able to hold a team and grow the team to a manner which is smarter than myself, I think as an individual and as a professional, I will be anyway successful. So that is, I think, the mantra, or at least the things that I try to incorporate.
So wonderful. You know, a quick summary. You talked about T-shaped personality and T-shaped learning skills. You talked about customer centricity. You talked about empathy. And of course, you talked about putting your team first. And in fact, having a team better than you works. Okay. At your level right now, all of these things are great to know. But to start off with, you know, I would feel, yes, building a T-shaped personality is something which is really essential. You need to know everything, but you need to know more of certain things. Okay, that's one. The other, in terms of building customer centricity and putting your customer first, anybody that gets money into the organization is the key issue, is the key piece. Now, whether it is a customer or your employee or your team, you know, putting them first should come naturally. What I think the students today would want to understand is, you need to pick a team that is better than you. You have realized it, Arnendu. What about those bosses that don't want a junior that is better than them? How do you deal with that situation?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question, for example, for sure, right? And a very smart question. And all of us go through that, to be honest. And we need to be smart enough to understand the situation, and we need to handle each of the situations in a manner which is uh, which can be handled in a more amicable manner. So that is important,
So,
right?
Arnendu, I would like to quote, I'm sure you've gone through this. Okay, in 24 years of my career, I've gone through it multiple number of times. But you're the star of the show right now. And I want you to tell us specific examples, maybe one, without
Hmm.
taking any names,
Yeah.
of how you dealt with it.
Yeah, let me. So one, definitely you bring about a situation where, for example, I was working across, and there was a conflict kind of a thing is in the viewpoints, right? And obviously it's important for us to put the viewpoints, etc. And there is some personalities, for example, I'll give you a situation and I'll go through that situation that happened, is that the individual, for example, obviously this behavior comes out, and I believe that behavior comes out when an individual is less confident about his or her skills and relevancy in the market. And that's where they say that if I don't control my team, if, for example, if my team becomes smarter than me, they may overrun. And that is the situation that happened. And then that is where I was getting vibes that, hey, pull back. So that is, obviously there's a situation that happens, pull back, and then you need to basically navigate. Obviously I didn't want to have direct conflict. There were times that a little bit of back and forth happened, but then again we were within the range. But that time as well, one thing that really helped me during this journey was, at the end, your client and the client portfolio needs to be intact. Nobody should be able to poke holes on your client delivery and the value that you deliver to the client, and the value that you bring to them every day, and bringing the best of the firm in front of them. When you're delivering those situations automatically wade away. And that actually happened with me as well, when obviously internally I was getting bogged down, but the client was getting me. And then that time passed off. It realized, I think there is always a time that obviously those things that happen, right, don't stay for long. And that we need to understand. At the end of the day, if we are true to the work, true to our clients, and another important element actually that helped, and that should have been part of my first answer, we need to I would say, we call it in Accenture rotating to the new, but I would say that in consulting we need to always be learning. And I'll tell you what I used to do 10 years back and what I do more now, it's cutting edge. Like people say, right, this is something which is like very new. We need to evolve ourselves. And that is where what happens is I started evolving myself, getting into the new areas, etc. And automatically I started getting the pull, and I was able to overcome and overcome that situation. And it happened, and it happens to everybody. But we need to keep our calm, no confrontation, be true to your client or what you're doing, and keep evolving, keep learning. And that is where I don't know whether I have anything here. One thing I still read, and to be honest, I read every week, and this is the latest one, every month, is basically this article, right? If you see this, I have the HBR subscription because it helps me understand beyond my work, what's happening, what is the new operating models coming in this. And another I read is The Economist, because it tells me what's happening in the world, etc. It helps me to have the right conversation with my client, because we don't want to get into a room and now in calls and just say that do A, B, C, D. We need to always talk about, get into that fold of they know they can get more than just what they are asking us to do.
So wonderful answer, Arnendu. In fact, let me bring you up to speed. You know, what has happened is just to build a more analytical mindset, while our students, everybody used to do live projects, okay, projects with industry. And that has increased manifold now. Instead of just 5, 6 of you doing it, now almost a lot of them do it. And it looks good on the CV and the profile. But what we've started this year is getting the students to write research papers. In fact, right now there is a conference that is on, and the students have, let me tell you, maybe I'm biased, okay, but I think SCMHRD students are good, okay.
No,
I
you're
wouldn't
not
say the
biased. That's
best.
true. That's true.
So, parental bias or whatever you may call it. Okay. I yet believe that I believe more in them than they believe in themselves sometimes. But yes, we've made them write research papers. Now, in the research paper, like HBR and like a bunch of other really great journals and periodicals across the world, we're asking them to refer to a certain concept in depth. Okay.
Yeah.
And try and see if you can add your own perspective to it.
Yeah.
A little bit more. What has already been written in books, if you parrot those and apply those, what is the new thing that you're going to bring to the table? But for that, you need to go deep down into the concept, okay, which ties into your T concept piece, which is that you dig deep down, understand conceptually, and then try and see if there is a different way of looking at it. Or maybe two people were following two different paths and you realize somewhere in between may be the better option.
Yeah.
Okay. And that perspective, you said you read HBR, you read The Economist. Now, these are things where cutting edge thought. So I want to clarify to the edge, cutting piece. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think I just lost for the last 10 seconds, ma'am.
Yeah, no,
Cutting
I
edge.
said, yeah. So I was saying that you were mentioning, you were talking about not cutting edge technology, but you're talking about cutting edge thought.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
the cutting edge thought, needs to be developed. And that development does not come from simply doing your regular work day in and day out,
No.
but from reading and understanding from different perspectives from across the globe. Sometimes the answers may not be in your backyard. They may be in somebody else's backyard. And I think that perspective is so crucial and critical for students to build. And so we're doing that. And I'm so glad. I mean, with or without research papers, and you seem to have gone there. Tell me, in these really fluid times, I would say this is a tremendously eventful year, 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. And has changed the corporate landscape in ways like never before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of those alterations are here to stay. They're permanent changes, right? So what would be your advice now to these kids that are going out into the world and want to make a difference? What would be some of the mantras for success now that you feel these students must have?
Yeah. So yeah, so ma'am, if I take a step back here and talk about is that all that is happening, and we hear obviously there has been a big impact in obviously the businesses across the world, etc. I think one thing, silver lining in all of this that has emerged, and that holds very much like it is directly related to our team globally, is, for example, one thing that has come out, that work right now, it is not going to be, the talent is not be based on a geography or location basis only. There would be a need and a hunger for right talent anywhere in the world, whether it is in India, whether it is in any other location, they can serve anybody. There was a set thing that keeps happening, right? Technology, and then obviously there's an onshore offshore thing happens in technology. In our consulting as well, we have the
Correct.
distributed model. But right now, organizations, everybody are thinking for the right talent globally. So I think that is the biggest advantage that comes to this generation. If you as individual are able to exemplify a much, I would say, holistic knowledge and a holistic, I would say knowledge that you bring to the table, which is which is superior than anybody else in the world. You may not, you just take away the geography location. You may end up working for the top notch companies in the world, which may not be located in our geography, your geography, wherever you are
So
based.
yes, Arnendu, you know, which is, you're talking about mobility of talent and you know, the ability to access all kinds of resources, whether it is people, technology, processes, etc., from anywhere in the world. Now, you know, I'm sure, I don't know how much of the detail you are aware of, but if you look at the new education policy, and all of us, because I'm in the education sector, we are very, very excited about it. And the new education policy essentially says that, you know, so it democratizes education, gives education access to a whole lot of people in India, especially,
Yeah,
brings it parallel to the liberal type of education in the US.
yeah.
And one of the things in that is, if you do 1 year after 12th standard, if you complete 1 year, then you get a certificate. If you complete 2 years, you get a diploma. You complete 3 years, you get a degree, and a degree by research, which enables you to pursue higher education, you get after completing 4 years of undergraduate education. Now, how open would industry be, or how open is, so this is a reality in the US, okay? You do 1 year and you get something to show for it. You do 2 years, you get something else to show for it, which is to show that I completed so many credits. So those things don't go waste. So, you know, if you look at understanding that the same kind of system, let's say, comes into India, then what will be the impact on education, and what will be the impact on competition for these students today?
Yeah, so I would take it in that manner. I think it's a right step, as you mentioned, ma'am, right step that is happening, that we are democratizing the whole education, and I would say the learning process as well, kind of a thing. And I would say from corporate, if I wear my hat and say that if I am have to look into and say hire X number of people, which we keep doing it, is kind of a thing, is that it's about, it will not go by the traditional stuff only. Now, where we organizations go to campuses and we hire is because it certifies that an individual has gone through it, gone through the entrance exam, has the right level of IQ, and then also look into the whole holistic nature. So it certifies to some extent that this individual has performed well in his or her academics, as well as good grades, both studies as well as the holistic view. Now, if we take that equation and move your 1 year of experience and the 2 years of experience built into in the early years itself, and with good knowledge, that also becomes a very strong proof point. In fact, it becomes a much stronger proof point, that saying that this individual not only has exemplified in the education, but they have in the early years have also done that have gone into these 1 year, 2 year programs, some experiences, and come back, and that works in US, right? Come back and have completed that. So that profile becomes much stronger. I think that acceptance will build upon. It may take a little bit of time. It will build upon, because at the end of the day, it is not the only certificate or your that matters. It's also what value you are bringing to the table, what experiences you are building to the table, and how critical you become as a resource to the organization. If this helps to do that through practical lens, I think it will be it will be very fast adoption. And I'll just add one more element. If you recollect, I would say our times, or even before that, it was like it was a very a traditional based thing, right? You will have a good graduation from a,
Hello?
yeah, but yeah, ma'am. Can you?
Hello?
Yeah,
I lost you in between. Can you hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you. So I don't know
Yeah.
where
Okay.
you lost
So,
me, but yeah.
no, I lost it the last 10 seconds.
Okay, got it. So yeah. So I think that is what I was saying, that acceptance will be very faster because it will give the practical lens as we talk about. And that's what we see in US as well,
Yeah, yeah.
that how they, with gaps and
So
experience and coming
how
back.
do you view blended learning? So this time, because of the lockdown, there has been a lot of blended learning. Like this conversation that we are having, we've been doing synchronous, asynchronous classes, and there is no, in fact, in the US, I'm aware that the first term they have said that it will be completely online. There will be no in-class sessions. That exists. What is your perspective? Do you think this will impair education delivery and learning in some way?
So I would not go by impair. See, my point of view is, and I'll come to how we have been operating as well as a firm and myself. But coming into education, I think one element definitely, this is a stopgap arrangement from education perspective, that learning doesn't stop. And obviously, with all the tools and technologies available to us, as different institutions, we are moving forward so that learning doesn't stop. But will it all become remote and online learning? I think there will be a good pace of online learning shift will happen for people who, while working, may want to do degrees, which is still there, but this will become more prevalent. But I would say the college atmosphere is also a big learning. It's not only the classroom study that happens, because for me, I know I had an equally important learning outside the classroom as well, right? With the friendships you make, the collaborations you do, you learn a lot about the life. I think that is getting missed out if you don't go to that college. And I believe that for that few years, right, I think that will come back and that will be there. Post, you continue to do certifications, etc., online, that will happen. But that 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 collaboration, the closeness that you do, for example,
Right.
is you cannot take away that prize. That classrooms we can get the best of professors globally to do that, but outside class there is an equally important learning that continues.
Correct. So the peer learning is crucial, and so therefore staying connected, staying you know in touch with the reality in your class, among your friends, in your country, and outside your country. Each of these perspectives, I think, is equally crucial when you are looking at how you want to go ahead and how you want to, take the most out of the learning that is there. Do you see, Arnendu, do you see any impact on careers, or in terms of how people should approach their professional lives? Because a lot of these students will hit the marketplace in about a year's time or maybe 2 years' time. What would be your advice to them, and what would be the key things to keep in mind? You're seeing a lot of changes. I'm sure you're also seeing changes in the way you are hiring.
Yeah.
And if we take away the geographical boundaries, then there are many things that are changing. So given this kind of a perspective, what would be your advice?
Yeah. So if I get there, I just want to talk about how things have changed at our end as well. And I was recollecting right now, I just entered into my 6th month, like 5-month plus, where we have been all working from homes, right? Our offices are shut, our clients are shut,
Okay,
but has the work shut? No. I think, in
correct.
fact, I have done a lot of good work, good of businesses across. And obviously, the first 2 months was little like taken aback for everybody by saying that, hey, what's going on? But now it has becoming more and more reality. This is how we will operate. I think and this is something
Right.
which will impact all of us, of the new generation that comes into this industry, is I think we need to have that discipline in the work as well, in the schedules. And I'm saying the other way around. Now so if I talk about myself, I had a little bit of time between leaving. Okay, I will have some calls in the early morning, then leaving home, getting to office or client side. I'll either it depends on, I will drive or I will take an Uber based on my meeting. If it's a critical meeting at a client and I want to have that half an hour before that to basically go through the slides, I will actually take an Uber. I will not drive. So that will happen. Then probably go to your office, other client, and come back, or you're taking a flight. So there used to be like 1-2 hours in the day where you are traveling and you're not doing anything, and you're thinking, or you're listening to music. Then also at home, you come back, there was a structure. Now what happens, and it used to happen, right, is you wake up, there's no, it only takes 20 seconds from your room to your office room, and you're in front of your screen time tremendously goes up. We need to manage that, to be honest. You cannot be sitting, okay, I have to respond to this email. Since I'm at home, I'm in front of laptop, you have to do that. I think that discipline has to be there. And same time, yeah, this is my working time. I will do that 10 hours, 11 hours, depending on the day. Some days it's higher. And important element, I think, ma'am, when you see me next, you will see a little bit of difference. I lost 20 pounds in last 1 year. And I run, even in this COVID times, I'll tell you, I run 30 to 45 minutes every day. 7 days a week, giving a gap 1 day here and there. And I'll tell you what, it also helps me. Obviously, you sweat, you obviously, you are more active. That is one. And second, that half an hour.
Mental and physical agility.
Physical agility, and it gives me clear head, because that half an hour, 45 minutes is with me only, and my soft music going on, depending on, so I can think through as well, right? What's going on, what I need to do.
And not sitting in a car commuting from one place to the other. Arnendu, can you see the campus behind me?
Yes. Yeah. You're taking me back.
So I thought
I'm getting younger now seeing this.
This is the campus right behind me. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. Absolutely.
Can you see all of it? And right on top over there, you can see that we now have the board of, how do I turn this around? Okay. So the SCMHRD board on top.
Okay. Okay. Oh, nice.
You know,
yeah,
so
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, we never had the board before. But we have it now, and so this is the campus behind me.
So recruiters don't land up in.
You come back here again.
Absolutely. So recruiters don't land up accidentally in other floors.
No. No. Now I think the time is past when it was about different floors, Arnendu. I think it is about the value that the institution brings and builds into its students, and that is what makes a tremendous amount of difference to the recruiter. Okay, so so it's not any symbiosis now. They only come to certain symbiosis and not to all symbiosis.
Yeah.
So I think we've traversed from that to we are also symbiosis to we are the SCMHRD.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So no more stealing, neither from us or from anybody else.
Yeah.
Recruiters are very, very conscious. They take decisions based on history, based on how our alumni are doing, how long they have stayed, the kind of performance they have shown, whether in summers or, you know, finally working, and then they decide on the campus. So the number of campuses have increased, number of IIMs have increased, the number of IITs offering MBA programs has increased.
Yeah.
And so private, unaided colleges like SCMHRD have to do their bit to keep up. So I had come for an ASCSB accreditation seminar, you know, ICAM, which is the international convention that happens once every year. That's what I'd come to Houston for, and that's where we met. But this year in February, we got accredited.
Oh, nice.
So one of 14 in the country.
Oh,
and you know, there are about 900 odd schools in the world that are certified by AACSB. We are one of them.
Oh, very good.
So we are proud to be internationally benchmarked today.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So the alumni team, you guys have any questions for Arnendu? In case you've gotten any from the chat, I have one or two I would like to ask, but I will rest until, you know, you can pull those questions in.
Are
you there?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. I'm from the alumni relations team. So I think this is the question from each one of us from our batch. Sir, how do we handle this situation, this uncertain circumstances? What's your advice for our placement going ahead? How do we manage this situation, sir? What should we do to get
Already
ourselves in
answered
best
that.
foot forward for
Yeah.
the placement?
Yeah, I will tell you one thing, and I think and we can speak 6 months from now when you are actually sitting, or 4 months from now when the campus things, the hiring process actually activates. I would assume, and I hope by this end of this year, this resides down and business comes to normal. But what this, and I said this, ma'am, to you right now as well. I think this whole myth that you need to be geographically present is going away. It is the talent anywhere. India's story is going to become more stronger, and you will see. I'm actually bullish that you will see more surge in your campus from the organizations coming in. I think consulting organizations, whether it is tech, digital, or business consulting, I think everybody is looking this from this new lens. It is the talent anywhere, talent, the best talent that we have. I think you need to also market, like I would say, step back by saying, who are your traditional recruiters beyond the FMCGs of the world, beyond the CPG, FMCG, and the others? What is the other set of organizations which actually will have the appetite of this appetite to hire talent anywhere for their global operations? How we can leverage that, because this is going to help rebuild the entire organization or entire industry. I think I think we need to relook from that lens, because there's a big talk happening everywhere. If I have to say talk about.
In fact, I think, Facebook has launched this piece where they are saying, we'll give you a certain different type of incentive and a different type of package if you work from home all the time.
It is, and
as long as you deliver on what you are required to do. How does it matter where you do it from? And technology is such a big enabler today that it's something that is set to change the perspectives of working and living, I think, going forward. So that is one thing we are most certainly going to be very, very careful of. See, can you see the whole institute now?
Yeah, exactly. Wow. I still remember the
So we are working
staircases there.
The staircase is still there, and so as we walk, I'm climbing up the stairs, and we can continue our conversation. So Arnendu, I have this big query. Right now, so what is the big difference or the biggest differentiator you see between when you began your career to when these kids today will begin their careers or professional careers post MBA?
I think
in your opinion, what has been the key difference?
Yeah. So for my side, when I see the new gen coming into this whole workforce, right, I find them more privileged than us from knowledge perspective, from information perspective. Now, information is organized in a nice setup, organized in such a nice way, in blogs, 2 minutes read. They are more informative than we used to be honest. And I see, and I'll tell you, I've been in Accenture right from analyst. So being in the team that I grew up, for example, I was part of that few people who actually moved from analyst to MD, the first pool of people who moved from analyst to MD, right, in the chain. And I joined as an analyst here. And I joined in Gurgaon, and I keep coming to India because I am part of a Accenture strategy and consulting wing or division, and run the distributed consulting model. So I have teams in India, Poland, US, Latin America, and distributed consulting model. And that is why I am seeing a lot of these things that I was talking about. I am actually firsthand into it, kind of what's happening in the industry. And I lead the industries, etc. for them. So what I see that the people that we hire now, across the globe that they come, they are more informed. They are more, I would say, I consider them, they're more smarter kids than we were, to be honest. They know exactly where to find the answer, what to give answer, etc. Then we used to basically we used to do the grunt work, which still doesn't go away, but they have.
It all depends on how they use those.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that is how it is, right? If you and obviously it will be your smartness that you bring on top of it, and your intellect that you bring top of it, and leverage that.
So do you remember the chai ki tapri behind the campus that you used to go to, Arnendu?
Yes, I still remember, and staircase and chai ki tapri was the I would say is the critical thing. Let's say outside the class where you actually learn a lot. And important is like,
so I'm going to show you now what is sitting at where the chai ki tapri was.
Oh, it's okay.
Keep looking
at
the screen.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yes, I can see it now.
Can you see the high rises?
Yes, and there in that, okay.
This is the back gate. You guys used to go back out there, and in that ground out there is now Blue Ridge, a huge complex, multi-story buildings. That's now where.
And does the bus still operate?
Sorry?
Does the bus still operate between the campus and Atur Center?
Yeah, of course. We have to. Yeah. We are 18 kilometers away from the city.
Yeah.
Though the city has now come very close, but yes. And this is the staircase you would take coming up.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is actually the time where we spend the most of the time during our campus interviews, right? This is where actually you spend the time. I had spent most hours or minutes I was taking the staircase during my campus, those 2-3 days of that interview process. One, the day you get interviewed, you selected, and then you become helping others.
Yeah, we now occupy the floors, 2 floors above as well, where SIIB used
to be there.
SIFT then.
SIIB.
So we occupy 4
our
floors.
Time also
Yeah, we occupy 4 floors.
Okay.
Yeah, so now they don't. They've gone to a building behind, and we occupy 4 floors here.
Oh, very good. Very nice.
On the campus.
It will be a good homecoming.
So, you must come. If you ever come to Pune, then you must come to the campus and come to India, make an occasion, try and visit the campus. We would love to have you here. Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so we would love to have you here. We would love to interact with you, know more about you in person. But I'm so glad the world moved virtual. Because the world moved virtual, we could have this conversation again with you.
Absolutely.
And learn so much from you.
Absolutely.
I think that has been the most wonderful thing, right? So from my cabin, this is how the campus looks, which is MSP's cabin. He could see the gate.
Yes.
And so he knew who was going out to do what.
बहुत बाहर जाता है.
Right? So, so he knew who was going out with whom and for what purpose. And remember the conversations he had with parents of both the parties. So he was quite a matchmaker as well. God bless him. Okay. But this is, it's been so nice speaking with you, Arnendu. Guys, if you have any more questions, for now I'm done. I think we were at 45 minutes to 50 minutes, and I know it's probably the end of your day for you there. What time is it?
It's okay. 12:15.
My God.
That's okay. I typically, I'm up till 11:30, 12. Yeah.
If you were on campus, I would have been okay with the time. Because 12 baje to abhi to sham jawan hai.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So, in case any one of you have any questions, But otherwise, Arnendu, it's been an absolute delight speaking with you. Thank you so much. I loved showing the campus to you again.
Yeah.
And I hope that it brought back some really, really fond memories. And I hope that we get to see you in person soon.
Absolutely, my pleasure. It has been a pleasure talking to you, ma'am, as well as the team, and looking into the campus. And before even I go to bed, I'm actually going to make some calls as well right now. Some of my batchmates whom I'm very close with as well. In fact, one I will do maybe before now as well, before I go to bed, talking about, hey, you know what, I saw SCMHRD. The first question will be, kaisa hai, kaisa hai? And I am sure, yeah, it was a pleasure. And what's the time for me as well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making time. Alumni team, over to you guys.
Thank you, Arnendu, for joining us for this session. Your advice on working with teams, working with smarter people, and how to manage this challenging situation will help make the students better leaders of tomorrow. Also, our sincere gratitude to Pratima ma'am for making this session ever so engaging.
Sure. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Thanks. Bye, Arnendu.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, ciao. Take care.
Take care.
God
Bye.
bless. Bye.
Bye.